to share this out, to share out this amazing wisdom, and for us to learn and grow from it. And through this process, I am doing the same as I connect with these beings and spirits and masters and whoever comes forth. I'm sharing this amazing wisdom, and yeah, perhaps it's tidbits of information that you have been wanting to hear or learn about. Perhaps you've never thought about it before, and then all of a sudden it clicks in, and then the dots align, and your new idea comes to fruition. So whatever the process is for you, I'm here to share, to spark, to spark the vibration, to perhaps get it moving if it is stagnant in some way. Okay, so I'll share a little bit of what transpired through my channeling yesterday. So Steve Jobs came through, which very, very subtly. It's very interesting. His energy was very subtle, very smooth, very serene, but also very laser. And so, and I'll read what I had written down. So through my process, I'm channeling, I'm very clairvoyant, clairaudient. I'm pretty much all the clairs. They're all one to me now. Sensing, feeling, smelling, hearing, all the senses, all of them are all one now. So as I'm channeling, I'm sensing all of these, right? And I can come out of the channeling and then start channel writing. So it's just a stream of consciousness, and it's just a stream of consciousness. That's how I can describe it. And when I go into that channel state, it's just a matter of me, and it takes a couple seconds. It's just me grounding myself quickly. And I have my grounding routine that I do. And I can share that, of course, in another video. And it's very simple. It's very simplistic. And I ground myself, and then I'm up and out. And then I'm open to communicate. I'm open to receiving 100%, just opening to the higher heart. Okay. Sometimes I have a specific question. Sometimes I'm struggling with something, and I require answers. Perhaps sometimes I'm just completely open to whoever comes in and matches the vibration, comes forth. Okay, so that's just a little bit of the process there. So when Steve came through, he just came through as a very, just almost a serene. It was like a serene feeling, but then also pretty laser. So it was a balance, a beautiful balance of it, of the energy. Okay. Sorry, I've been talking a lot. Talk a lot. I need some hot tea. So the frequency of money. So money, I asked him about money. What is the frequency of money? And he said, money is nothing. and he sat with me Indian style. We're sitting together. And he had this, it was almost this, not a cloak, but just kind of this fabric over him, this light, white, cream colored kind of fabric, just kind of draped over him. That's how I describe it. But he's very present, and very cognizant. But he said, money is nothing, and it's in the doing of creation, and it's within the doing, it's within the action. And then he described to me the influx of money and the creation, and he showed me just this vibration getting bigger, 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 bigger. And then at the end of his life, it was, he showed me as inflating and then deflating. So that's basically his energy. That's what he was doing with his energy. So at the end of his days, he was incredibly deflated. But that's how he chose. He said that, that's how he chose to go, because he experienced so much in his life. It was so vast, so big, that he wanted to experience the other side of it. So it was the deflation of it all. I thought that was really interesting. And then I asked the question of thinking, how did how did he come up with all this amazing information? How did he tap in to his amazing information? So that was the question I proposed to him. And all of a sudden he brought me into his molecular structure of his brain, and he showed it to me, and I was just pretty much in there with him. And it was so incredibly fast. And I'll show you kind of like what I drew. So this is what he showed me, and this is what I saw. It was, yeah, it was a molecular structure of the neurons firing like so fast. It was like whoop, whoop, whoop. And it was like a blue light blue, like a white, like just flaring off really, really fast. So it was almost, he took me, inside his way of thinking, his way of processing things. But the way he moved forward was the brilliant piece of it. There was no hanging on to certain things that did not matter to him. So it was all about the vibration of the thoughts. Very particular, he said, about the thoughts coming in, the streaming of thoughts. He was very cognizant on the thoughts. And the things that would trip him up were the things that tripped him up, but not necessarily in business, in his personal life. So, and that's the thoughts that he would click into. But in the business sense, in the business mind, it was all about the firing of the neurons, just really grasping that fire, keep firing, keep firing, keep firing. And that's how it felt. Like my body became tingly and vibrating like this. It was really, really quite fascinating. So that's a glimpse of, how his mind was working, perhaps, right? What he shared with me, perhaps that was the way his mind was firing up and getting so excited and having that curious mind, curious heart to be in that creation, be in that flow of creation, of creating something out of nothing. Think about it. I mean, think right now of a time where you were creating something and how fast and furious it did come, because you're in the flow of it, right? You're not thinking about anything else. So that makes sense to me, at least. That makes absolute sense, because I'm thinking of many, many different things right now, being in the flow of creation. I'm not thinking about going to the grocery store and getting items that I need for at the grocery store, right? I'm thinking, I'm not even really thinking. I'm in that flow. Let's take, an example of painting a painting. You're in that flow. You're not thinking about certain aspects of the painting. Perhaps, yes, you have an idea of what you would like to transform on the blank canvas. You have an idea, but you don't know exact details. And the details come up throughout the flow, throughout the neurons, right? Flashing and connecting and expanding, right? Because perhaps in the beginning of the painting, you had a little idea of a tree, let's say, and I'm just giving examples. Perhaps you just had this little twig of a tree, right? And through the process of creating and painting this beautiful tree, it turned out to be this enormous oak tree with all the different variations of color and veins and leaves and incredible, incredible detail. So that to me, yeah, it connects with the neurons, the neurons firing up in the structure of the brain. So just wanted to share that. I thought that was quite fascinating to connect with him, and for that brief moment in time, and then that was it. And then he went on his way, and then something else came in as I was channeling. And so part two would be who came in was Nathaniel. He is a guardian angel. He came in, Nathaniel, and I've never worked with Nathaniel before. And he came up very clearly, and I just instantly knew who this angelic being was. I say person, but well, was he a person at one time? Yeah, maybe he was. But after, connecting with his energy was very focused, very laser, very in depth, very fiery. It was very intense, but with the compassionate side. So again, it was that structure, it was that balance, it was that beautiful balance and awareness of the focus and coming back to yourself, of really discovering your true sense, your true source, and being very much connected into yourself. So that was the feeling there. It was very heart-centered, very solar plex centered. I felt it in my body. So those were the sensations from him. And then afterwards, it was just feeling more of a connection with my heart, with my solar plex, within my body. So it was almost an integration, a feel of integration. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share, and it was very brief. It was, yeah, it felt brief. I'm sure it was like an hour, but because that's what happened, because there is no time, right? So when we channel, and those of you that channel on a regular basis, I'm very cognizant of time. Right when I begin, I write the time down, and then when I end, I write the time down. But within that time, I channel write 2 to 3 hours every morning. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. When I'm actually channeling and when I'm actually channel writing, it feels like 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't feel long at all. So those of you that channel, you understand the significance of this, because when you think about it logically in a linear fashion, it should be longer. It should, it should feel longer, but it doesn't. It just feels like a split second, which is, yeah. I mean, even let's talk about that. I just find that fascinating, because if it's feeling over there or wherever you are, whatever dimension you are on and traveling to or traveling through and all of that, what channel you are connecting into, the vibration that you're connecting into. There's so much information that comes through, feeling as if it's only been 5 or 10 minutes, right? I mean, think about all that information that's coming through. I mean, snapshot that. I mean, let's bridge that with here and now. And I know that's where we're going to, and going into the 5th dimension as we are now, that will come in more and more. So we'll, the longer it takes here where we are in present time, shorter durations will start to come in, which is fantastic for the impatient ones. I'll put my name on the list, because I'm working on that. I'm always working on that, because for me, I just want to push a button things are done here in the modern world, right? And yeah, that doesn't happen. I did want to explore and just touch upon timeline jumps. If any of you are experiencing more and more of the timeline jumps, I, for one, have been more often than, yeah, more frequently. And just wondering, please, yeah, place your comments in the comment section if you have, and what has been your experience of timeline jumping. Just a couple days ago, I went into my office looking for a specific item, and I looked exactly in that place, and I was like, oh, it's not there. And I'm looking all over my house, and going from room to room, going, where was it? Where was it? Where was it? Right? And I don't know, maybe a few minutes later, of course, I go back into my office, and it's right there, and I'm like, little cheekiness there, right? So it's happening more and more. And I remember the first timeline jump I experienced was when I was 14. And so I'm not going to date myself, but many, many years ago. And I just remember things happening and, second guessing myself, like, well, I know that was there. I know that was there, right? So it's coming in more and more, as infrequent as it has been in the past. It's really revving up now and becoming more and more frequent. I'm starting to notice things several times a week now, which is really interesting. And sometimes they're back to back, and sometimes not. But the thing of it is, it's to trust that process, really trusting that process of connecting to the higher heart, the higher vibrations, and not getting frustrated with it, right? And then tapping into, like, let's say you lost your keys, they're not where you left them, right? Trusting that process of they will come back to you, right? For a split second, you jump some timelines there, and you'll be back, and it'll be okay, and you'll find your keys. But also too, how are you working with that? Yeah, I would love to hear from you all, how you're working with timeline jumps, and how you're feeling about it. It's resonating with me. For a split second, I'll get frustrated and annoyed, and then I'll let that go, and then I go back. It's like, okay, it's a reminder, really. It's moving forward, little back, moving forward, little back, right? And pretty soon we'll just be moving forward and forward and forward back to channeling with Steve. It's just so invigorating, going back to that sense of moving forward and being in transcendence, right? Love that. So just wanted to share that. That's all I had to share today. I have more to share, of course, but that's a blip of information that I wanted to share. And please leave your comments. And yeah, if you have any questions, please leave them as well. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel, and I really appreciate it. And I will see you again very soon. Thank you.